amazing. Check it out. There's free water coming out of the sky. It's a platinum day and it's just gorgeous. Or, oh, it's raining today, it's really cold, my hair's gonna get wrecked. How interesting that people talk a lot about the weather, which is a really boring topic. And couldn't we just decide whatever's gonna happen, we're gonna have an awesome day rather than an ordinary day? Because I have no control over whether there's free water coming out of the sky or not. But could we call it that? Free water coming out of the sky rather than raining. This is a beautiful platinum day rather than grey. And what about you get to choose your attitude? Now here's some really interesting words that I would love to take out of the English vocabulary. In fact, whatever language you speak, I'm sure there's a translation. Average, normal, mediocre, comfortable, safe. All of those words, how do we ever grow, get better, get stronger, get tougher, get wiser if we're average, ordinary, mediocre? That's a horrible word. And a lot of people, and I'll rephrase that, because some people say to me, Rowie, I just want an average life. I just want to be normal. I just want to fit in with the crowd. And of course, that's a choice that we all get to make. But if that's not you, if you don't want to be like everybody else, if you do want to stand out from the crowd, if you do want to have not an ordinary life. Now, I'm very careful with this word because a lot of people say, I want to be extraordinary. But if you listen to that word and have a look at it, extraordinary just means I want to be ordinary, but even more ordinary. Yuck, I hate that word too. But what about I want my life to get better every single day? What if everything you do is focused on not just, and this is another word that's very limiting, because if you focused on best, if you focused on I want to be the best version of myself. A lot of people say that. Well, that's a limit, because once you've got to the best, what comes next? Excellence, if you talk to anybody who's striving for excellence, will share with you very passionately, they hate average, they hate ordinary, they hate mediocre, they don't want to blend in with the crowd, they want to keep getting better. So the best athletes in the world, the best business people in the world, the best musicians, dancers, builders, artists, doesn't matter. The people that are the best at what they do are not interested in best. They just want to keep getting better. It's really cold out here. And one of the awesome things about cold, apart from the fact that it's difficult to talk, so I'll have to think more carefully about my words, is that cold forces you, because it's not comfortable to be cold. It forces your body to get stronger and tougher. It's not comfortable to exercise at high intensity, and that's why we get fitter and stronger. When your body becomes uncomfortable, that's the only time that the body changes. And I always use this very simple example. If you're sitting down, which I bloody hate, as you know, I'm always standing up, I'm always moving around, because the human body's not designed to sit. But if you are sitting down, you'll sit still until your ass hurts. When your ass hurts or you feel uncomfortable, then you move. And that's the only time we ever make a difference, we get better, we change, we move, is if we're uncomfortable. Comfortable means, oh, I'm warm and safe and everything's nice and nothing changes. So what are you doing every day if you want to be average and fit in with the crowd? Again, I'll share that's a personal choice, and of course you can do that. But if that's not you, if you want to do something out of the ordinary, if you've got an invention, a creation, you're just a person who doesn't want to be boring, and you don't want to do what everybody else is doing. It's one of the things I can never understand. Why do you want to look like the crowd? Why do you want to do what the crowd's doing? Why do you want to think like the crowd? Why not think for yourself, do what you're excited about, dress in a style that suits you? One of the things I always, because I do a lot of chats with teenagers, and it's really interesting to watch teenagers because somebody starts a fashion or a trend and then everybody follows. One of the things when I lived on the Gold Coast in Australia, at the end of the school year, a lot of high school, it was called schoolies, would come to the Gold Coast to celebrate finishing high school. And I remember chatting to a group of them because all the girls were dressed exactly the same, whatever the fashion was that year. They all had black fingernails. They all had a certain kind of hairstyle. They wore their jeans a certain way. And it's interesting with jeans because sometimes they're high-waisted and sometimes they're low-waisted, and that changes all the time. But they all looked exactly the same. And I asked this question: if you were looking for a partner, or a partner was looking for someone that you are excited about sharing your life with, or spending time with, or just having fun with, how would they know who to choose? Because you all look exactly the same. And I share that harshly because you're not the same as everybody else. There's not anybody in the world that's exactly the same as you. Even if you are an identical twin, there is still differences between you and your twin. We're all unique, special, out of the box, own style, different, unique human beings. I love the word unique because for me it means nobody else is like me. Nobody else does what I do. So what are you doing to stay out of the ordinary? What do you need to do to not be average? And one of the things to do perhaps, and I do it on a regular basis, is have a look what the average folks are doing. Have a look how they're dressing, what they're listening to, what they're wearing, how they live their life. Take note, but don't live like that. What do you want? How do you want to live your life? What is your own unique style? What are you going to do with your life? And this word average is very fascinating because we often talk about the average mark for school, the average house price, the average wage, the average Australian has this kind of health, or the average European does this for their holidays. Average means somewhere between the worst and the outstanding. Somewhere between really bad and boring and amazing. So here's a great question. Why not start with something as simple as this? And I've come outside in the rain. I'm standing here in the rain for a reason. Because most people avoid the rain and they avoid the cold. And right now it's below zero and it's raining. For me, that's a reason to test a way to test my mental strength, my ability to handle toughness. So every single day I'm looking for things to do that will push me, force me out of my comfort zone. So obviously being out in the cold and the rain is one of them. I have this huge big pile of rocks which I need to move this. These are going to be spread around my garden. And interestingly, if you have a look around my garden, there's more now than 100 tonne of rock that I've moved. Gravel, sand, rock that's been moved because I want to get out of my comfort zone. Because if I sit inside and I don't sit, but if I stay inside, then I get comfortable and warm and safe and nothing changes and nothing gets better. So I'm constantly looking for ways to push myself, get out of my comfort zone and keep getting better and better and better. So here's just a simple one to consider. When somebody asks you, how are you? Most people will say something very ordinary or average. Not too bad, how are you? Pretty good, how are you? Wish it was Friday. So some people go to the negative and then they say, oh, how are you? Oh, I've got a sore foot and I've got a sore neck and I'm tired and I'm stressed and a big long list of things why their life is terrible. Well, first of all, no good for your own headspace to answer like that. Very ordinary for the person having to listen to you when you answer like that. And I've got a headache. No one actually cares, I don't think. Even your mum or the people that love you or your partner or your kids, if you are constantly complaining about I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm miserable, is that somebody that you want to hang out with? And that's the dangerous one, because if you're constantly talking negative, other people can avoid you, but you can't avoid yourself. Would that be fair? If your brain is constantly hearing, I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm stressed, I'm bored, I'm average, then how could you be any better? So one of the things that's really important about striving for excellence, having your own style, being different, thinking outside the box, creating a new box, is the words that you use on a daily basis. So something as simple as, how are you today, instead of, it's raining and cold, how about, it's amazing, there's free water coming out of the sky and it's a platinum day. My fingers feel like they're about to freeze off, which is awesome because it means I've got fingers. So we often complain, I've got a sore foot or a sore head. Well, what if you didn't have a foot? And I stress that quite passionately, obviously, because I invest a fair bit of time with people that have what I consider really big challenges. They've lost a leg or two legs. They've got some kind of serious mental health effect in their headspace because they've had an accident. or they've got some terrible thing that's happened in their life. And the reason I invest time with these particular people is that these are people that have had really crappy stuff happen and they haven't let it affect their life. They've just become better, stronger, wiser, tougher people. There's a great expression, if it doesn't kill you, it will make you stronger. And it's not just a motivational quote, it's the truth. The interesting thing is if we're dead, we won't even know, and a lot of people are scared of dying. We're all going to die, but we only die once. We live every day, whether it's sunny or rainy or windy or cold or snowing or hot. It doesn't matter. We all live every day. The question is, how are we going to live? Are we going to be average, ordinary, mediocre? Or are we going to be amazing? And that's one of the beautiful things, because sometimes people say to me, Rowie, you're just too positive and you can't be happy all the time. And why do you always use such happy words? Well, there's lots of reasons for that. First of all, your words control your thoughts control your actions control your results. That's pretty easy to understand, yeah? So I can decide what I'm going to say to my own self, which means I can decide what I'm going to think, which means I can decide what my actions are going to be, which means I can decide my results. And that's why our words are so important. So instead of saying I'm cold, I'm miserable, I'm stressed, I feel terrible, how about say something like amazing? Now, people say to me, Rowie, that's a lie. Well, you might be amazingly stressed, you might be amazingly injured, you might be amazingly angry, you might be amazingly miserable. But rather than add the miserable on the end, just say I'm amazing. And your body, your brain can't understand negative, well, it understands negative words very well. But if you put positive in constantly, it doesn't have time to focus on the negative, because you can only think about one thing at a time. You can only talk about one thing at a time. So if you focus on positive, and stay away from boring, average, ordinary, mediocre, you actually train your brain to do that. Isn't that exciting? You can decide your words decide your thoughts decide your actions, and your actions decide your results. So you don't have to have a life that is ordinary, boring, average, mediocre. You can have a fantastic life if you choose to. So number one, change your words. Number two, obviously, actions are determined by your words, but we decide what we're going to do. So I could look outside and say it's raining and cold, I'm not going to go outside. Or I can say I'm going outside because it's raining and cold and I want to push myself out of my comfort zone. That's an action that we get to choose. We can jump out of bed, we can drag ourselves out of bed. We can choose healthy food, we can choose crappy food. We can choose not to exercise, we can choose to be fit and strong. They're all choices. Isn't that amazing? And if you make choices about the little things in your life, is it possible that each little step heads you towards excellent, better, away from the crowd? Because most people choose average and ordinary. Most people choose easy. And that's probably my biggest question. Do you ever make those decisions? I'm going to choose the easy path or the hard path. Most people choose easy. It's one of the reasons why the world's become overweight. One of the reasons why we've become really sick and diseased, because everything in the world is designed to make our life easier. Washing machines, televisions, telephones, cars, bikes, everything is all about, and I'm going to get into a lot of trouble, this is very controversial. One of the things I really don't like are electric bikes, because one of the things about bike riding is you have to sit down to start with, which I can never understand, to exercise in the seated position, because the human body doesn't function very well in the seated position. But now I live in a place where riding a bike is just the most magnificent, beautiful experience. And most people, in fact, and I check it out now, about 90% of the 9 out of 10 bikes that I see now are electric bikes. We've made bikes easy. Somebody said to me, Rowie, but yeah, when you go out in the mountains and you get to those steep hills, you'll be able to get up the steep hills because you'll have an electric bike. And I said, no bloody way. I'm not having an electric bike. When I was a kid, if I couldn't bike my way up the hill with my own legs, I'd get off my bike and push my bike up the hill. And as an old lady, I'm not going to change that. That's going to be my own unique style. What's Rowie doing? Oh, she's pushing her pedal bike up the hill. What an old-fashioned old lady. Yes, but this old-fashioned old lady is going to be a fit, strong, healthy, young old lady for the rest of my life. I'm not going to make my life easy, and that's my question. What are you doing every day to do the tough stuff, the hard stuff, to get out of your comfort zone so that you're not making your life easy? It's much easier to put the clothing in the dryer. Why not put it on the line? I I have a joke now because there's all this talk about wind power and solar power. Well, when you hang your washing on the line, you have wind power and solar power. Isn't that awesome? There's so many ways in our life now that we've made life easier. I'll give you a really quick and fun story. Well, not so fun for the lady that it happened to. One of my clients, when I was a personal exercise coach, her husband bought her a beautiful Christmas gift, or so she thought. It was an automatic roller door. So when she came up to her house, instead of having to get out of the car, walk down the driveway, pull up the old-fashioned roller door, get back into the car, walk back up the driveway, get back into the car and drive into the driveway, she now had a button. So Christmas, Rowie, I've got a new roller door, isn't it exciting? I think it was May, June, she came back to me and she said, and she had the thing in her hand and she said, I'm about to throw this at my husband. It was the remote roller door control thing that you have in your car. She said, since I've got the roller door, I've gotten chubby. I've put on fat on my body. My ass has gotten bigger. My clothes are too tight. Think about this. Nothing else in her life had changed. But instead of getting out of the car, walking down the driveway, lifting up the heavy door, walking back up the driveway, getting in the car, or being in the car, wanting to go out, lift up the heavy door, drive up the driveway, walk down the driveway, pull down the heavy door. I'm doing this on purpose. There was a lot of energy expended just by that one little action in her life. And it made a massive difference to her physique, to the way she looked and the way her clothes fit. That one little change. And think about how many of those we've got in our life now. I can still remember, because remember I'm an old lady, the television, you actually had to get off your ass to go and change the channel because there were no remotes. You had to go and answer the phone because it was stuck to the wall. You actually had to wind the window down in the car because there was no electronics in the car. And you know what else? The world was fitter, stronger, healthier, less depressed, less fat, less diseased. The world was probably a better place, because we had to do it a little bit harder. And you know, you've heard this from your parents or your grandparents, and now you're going to hear it from me. Back in my day, I had to ride my bike. It wasn't electric. Back in my day, I had to walk to school through the snow with no shoes on. Well, you know, we were tougher, stronger, maybe even better people. I don't know, and that's a bit controversial. What I do know is that when you pick easy, you get soft. When you pick hard, you get hard. When you pick easy, you become ordinary because that's what everybody else does. When you pick hard, you get stronger and tougher and better and wiser. So how about we do more of getting out in the cold and the rain? How about we do more exercise that pushes us hard? This day I'm going to go and, this is a funny one, I'm going to sit on my bike at the gym and read my magazine. It's been suggested by the best exercise physiologists in the world that if you can exercise with your ass sitting down, reading a book, you're probably not exercising hard enough. When was the last time you got really puffed? Because that's when your body actually has to change. When you force your heart and lungs to work hard. You get really strong when you lift really heavy. Light weights for toning is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I'm going to share with you some untonedness. You ready? May your Mondays be magical, may your Tuesdays be terrific, may your Wednesdays be very wow, and your Thursdays be thankful, may your Fridays be a fun day, may your Saturdays be super, may your Sundays be sparkly, 'cause you choose them to be. Now that's my favourite song, it means every day's amazing, it's also untoned. Muscles can't be untoned. You can't tone up muscles. They're not a musical instrument. Muscles get strong by overload. So if you can lift it, it's too light. You've got to lift stuff that's heavy. If you can do it hundreds of times or 10 times or 50 times, or the less times you can do it, the better. So the heavier it is, the better. The phosphate system of your body, and I'm asking every day, get phosphate fit. Your phosphate system is your fight and flight system in your body. It's the out of the ordinary, out of the average, the excellent system in your body, because it's the 100% effort system. And this is a really interesting question. Is it possible that average and ordinary and mediocre have happened because we've stopped aiming for excellence? We've settled for, I'm going to do 10,000 steps even if they're slowly, when ultimately it's not about how many steps we do, it's how hard we work, it's how much effort we put in, it's how intense we exercise. So if you want to get fit and you want to get strong and you want to make your life better, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. Now your phosphate system, where you push really hard, the fight and flight system, that's the survival mechanism. That's your body saying, we've got got to get the hell out of here, or we've got to turn and fight because otherwise we're going to die. Well, I'm going to put it that simple. If we don't change as a human race, if we choose average and ordinary and mediocre, is it possible that instead of living our lives, we're just going to exist through them and then die? And I always ask this question. Imagine that, being born, existing, and dying. Be born, exist, die. I was born. What a magnificent day for me. Thank you, Mum and Dad, for creating me. I want to live every day with passion and enthusiasm and excitement. And as I always share, I want to die peacefully in my sleep at 150 years of age, having had a fantastic day. Been with my husband, had a day of exercise and fresh air and sunshine and free water out of the sky, and lifting heavy things and punching the bag and not using an electric bike and having a fantastic day. Imagine if we lived our life every day as if it was our last day. And this is my very last question. Your life that you're living today, right this minute, if this was your last day on earth, would you be doing what you're doing now? I think that's a beautiful question. Because if you're doing something that you don't like, or it's average or ordinary or mediocre, how about we stop doing that, and how about we have an amazing day every day? May your Mondays be magical, may your Tuesdays be terrific, may your Wednesdays be very well, and your Thursdays be thankful, may your Fridays be a fun day, may your Saturdays be super, may your Sundays be sparkly, because you choose them to be. Romax, live life to the max with Rowie every day. Woohoo!